everybody, we're back again today, reading Stolen Focus by Joanne Howard. My name's Tien, and it's my older brother Trung. And Trung, would you like to start first? Trung.
Fine. What are we up to again? No, we folded that over, so...
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
What page 30, right?
Yeah, page 30.
Yeah. Right. Yep, yeah.
Yeah.
How's this change affecting us? Soon smiled when I asked. There's this thing about speed that feels great. Part of why we feel absorbed in it. We feel absorbed in this. That it's awesome, right? You get to feel that you're connected to the whole world, and you feel that anything that happens on the topic, you can find out about it. You can find out about it, and learn about it. But we told ourselves we could have a massive expansion in the amount of information we are exposed to, and the speed at which it hits us, with no costs. This is a delusion. It becomes exhausting. More importantly, Soon said, all we are sacrificing is depth in all sorts of dimensions. Depth takes time, and depth takes reflection. If you have to keep up with everything and send emails all the time, there's no time to reach depth. Depth connected to your work and relationships also takes time. It takes energy. It takes long time spans. And it takes commitment. It takes attention, right? All these things that require depth are suffering. It's pulling us more and more up onto the surface.
There was a phrase. Yeah. There was a phrase in Soon's scientific paper summarizing his findings that kept rattling around in my head. It said that we are collectively experiencing a more rapid exhaustion of attention resources. When I read this, I realized I had experienced in Provincetown I was for the rest of the first time in my life, living within the limits of my attention resources. I was absorbing as much information as I could actually process. Think about and contemplate, and no more. The fire hose of information was turned off. Instead, I was sipping water at the pace I chose.
Soon is a smiling, affable Dane. But when I asked him about how these trends will develop in the future, his body stiffened, and his smile turned into a tight pucker. We've been accelerating for a very long time, and for sure, we're getting closer and closer to whatever limits we have, he said. This acceleration, he said, can't continue indefinitely. There's some physical limit to how fast things can move. It must stop at some point. But I don't see any slowing down right now. Your turn.
Shortly before I met with him, Soon had seen a photograph of Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, standing in front of a room of people who were all wearing VR virtual reality headsets. He was the only person standing in actual reality, looking at them, smiling, pacing proudly around. When he saw it, Soon said, I was like, holy shit, this is a metaphor for the future. If we don't change course, he fears we are heading towards a world where things are going to be an upper class of people that are very aware of the risks to their attention and find ways to live within their limits.
Oi.
Nej, men alltså jag tror jag...
So don't mixing up.
And then there will be the rest of the society with fewer resources to resist the manipulation, and they're going to be living more and more inside the computers, being manipulated more and more to... Hold on! Give me that. Yeah.
Where is it? Where's it up to? Once he had learned all this, Soon deeply changed his own life. He stopped using all social media, except Twitter, which he checks only once a week, on Sundays. He stopped watching TV. He stopped getting his news from social media, and instead took out a newspaper subscription. He read many more books instead. As you know, everything with self-discipline is not like it's a thing you can fix, and then it's fixed forever, he said. I think the first thing you have to realise is that it's an ongoing battle. But he told me it helped to trigger a philosophical... No.
Huh?
I know how to say...
Which one?
Philosophical shift in how he approached life.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Philosophical.
Yeah.
In general, we want to take the easy way out, but what makes us happy is doing the thing that's a little bit difficult. What's happening with our cell phones is that we put a thing in our pocket that's with us all the time, that always offers an easy thing to do, rather than the important thing. He looked at me and smiled. I wanted to give myself a chance at choosing something that's more difficult, Teenager.
Okay. Soon study is pioneering, so it only provides us with a small base of evidence. But as I dug deeper, I found two related areas of scientific investigation that help me to understand this more. The first comes intriguingly from studies investigating if we can really learn how to speed read. Several terms of scientists have spent years figuring out if you can make humans read things really, really fast. They found that you can, but always comes at a cost. These teams took ordinary people and got them to read much faster than they ordinarily would. With training and practice, it sort of works. They can run their eyes over the words quickly and retain something of what they are seeing. But if you test them on what they read, you'll discover that the faster you make them go, the less they'll understand. More of a speed means less comprehension. Scientists then studied professional speed readers and discovered that even though they're obviously better at it than the rest of us, the same thing happens. This showed there's just a maximum limit for how quickly humans can absorb information, and trying to burst through the barrier simply busts your brain ability to understand it instead.
You reach it like the it the sound voice. Say again.
What?
What your accent in the big chain?
Huh?
Your accent on the big chain.
What?
It's really game over here.
Yeah.
Keep going over here. That's your accent look like that for come from India. Okay.
Chừng your turn.
Keep going. More, not short like yesterday, okay?
Where are we up to?
Where do you think?
Where are we
Get
up?
this away.
The scientists investigating this also discovered that if you make people read quickly, they are much less likely to grapple with complex or challenging material. They start to prefer simplistic statements. After I read this, I looked again at my own habits. When I read a physical newspaper, I'll often be drawn to the stories that I don't understand yet. Why, say, is there an uprising in Chile? But when I read the same newspaper online, I usually skim those stories and click on the simpler, more scandal stories related to stuff I already know. After I noticed this, I wondered if in some ways we are increasingly speed reading life, skimming hurriedly from one thing to another, absorbing less and less. One day, in my webless summer, after slowly... Oh, Tina, it's the next paragraph.
Hmm?
Your turn.
What?
We're up to here now. Your turn.
What? One day in my webless summer, after slowly reading a book, slowly reading a book, slowly eating a meal, and slowly wandering around town, I wondered if my normal life I suffered from a kind of mental jet lag. When was that again? When you fly into a distant time zone, you feel like you've moved too fast and you're now out of sync with the world around you. The British writer Robert Scrivall says we are living through the Great Acceleration. And like Soon, he argues it's not simply about tech that's getting faster, it's almost everything. There's evidence that a broad range of important factors in our lives really are speeding up. People talk significantly faster now than they did in the 1950s. And in the 20 years, people have started to walk 10% faster in cities. Usually this acceleration is sold to us in a spirit of celebration. The original BlackBerry advertising slogan was "Anything worth doing is worth doing faster." Internationally, at Google, their unofficial motto among the staff is "If you're not fast enough, you're fucked." Drunk.
Tian,
No?
you skipped the paragraph.
What do you mean I skipped the paragraph?
You ended here.
No.
Where'd you start?
Yeah.
Oh, then you read 2 paragraphs. Good.
That means you have to read 2 as well.
No,
Yeah,
that was a short paragraph.
No, harder.
But there's a second way in which scientists have learnt how the societal slamming of the accelerator is affecting our attention. It comes from studying what happens to focus, not when we speed up, but when we deliberately slow down.
No.
One of the leading experts on this topic is Guy Claxton, Professor of Learning Sciences at the University of Winchester, who I went to interview in Sussex, in England. He has analysed what happens to a person's focus if they engage in deliberately slow practices like yoga or Tai Chi or meditation. As discovered in a broad range of scientific studies, and he has shown they improve your ability to pay attention by a significant amount. I asked him why. He said that we have to shrink the world to fit a cognitive bandwidth.
Hey, reading, hey, you.
If you go too fast, you overload your abilities, and they degrade. But when you practice moving at speed,
Excuse me.
but when you practice moving at a speed that is compatible with human nature, and you build that into your daily life, you begin to train your attention and focus. That's why those disciplines make you smarter. It's not about humming or wearing orange robes. Slowness, he explained, nurtures attention, and speed shatters it. Tina turn. Tina turn. Last paragraph.
No, wait.
It's go to the next page, right? Last paragraph.
At some level in Provincetown, I sensed this was true. So I decided to try these slow practices. The first time I went to see my yoga teacher, Stefan Pichel, I said to him, "This is going to be like teaching yoga to Stephen Hawking after his death." I explained that I was immobilized, a lump of flesh, designed only to read, write, and occasionally walk. He laughed and said, "We'll see what we can do." And so every day for an hour on the I slowly moved my body in ways I had never done before. At first, I found it extraordinarily boring, and I tried to draw Stefan into arguing about politics or philosophy. He would always gently guide me back to trying to move some weird pretzel shape I had never tried before. By the end of the summer, I was able to be silent for an hour and to stand on my head afterwards. Sometimes with Stefan's guidance, I would meditate for 20 minutes. A practice I had tried at various points in my life, but always let lapse. I felt kind of slow. I felt a kind of slowness spreading through my body. I felt my heartbeat slow down, and my shoulders which are normally in a kind of permanent hunch, relaxing gently. Now, let's read up to the screen line right there.
Right. But even when I felt the physical relief from the slowness, it was all...
Pick up the book yourself.
It's been 18 minutes.
Drop.
It's fine.
Read into the screen. Right, go.
But even when I felt the physical relief from the slowness, it was always followed by a kind of bubbling guilt. I thought, how can I explain this to my sped up, stressed out friends back home? How can we all change our lives so that we feel more like this? How do you slow down the world that is speeding up? That's gonna be all.
Yeah, that's gonna be all for today, and we'll see you tomorrow.
What about you
We're
finish?
ending
34.
on page
34.
34.